Look, thank you, Anthony, and to everyone here, a very warm welcome. For those of you that have travelled vast distances to attend this conference and join us here in Sydney, a special welcome to you, and I hope your stay here is pleasurable. Just to let you know, we have increased the level on the thermostat for you here today, so you can experience some very good Sydney weather. So you might want to venture outside, but don't stay outside for too long. It'd be a lot more comfortable back inside, but please enjoy your stay. Look, I'd like to thank the Council on Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat for this very kind invitation to speak this morning. And I'd like again to welcome all the speakers and delegates who have travelled so far and wide to be here. Because we have before us, as a society, a tremendous opportunity to rethink our cities and plan for our futures. The Council has displayed impressive thought leadership on the development of cities, and I want to acknowledge and pay tribute to the Council for that. Because it's an exciting time for cities around the world who are represented here at today's event. And indeed, it's an exciting time for our city here as well as New South Wales, because the face of Sydney is changing. Stunning local developments such as Barangaroo and Central Park have won not only global but also national awards. The Department of Planning and Environment is also considering major redevelopments such as a world-class transport and employment precinct at Martin Place. And today I'd like to share with you some initiatives we're developing at the department to improve the planning system, to support better delivery and promote better consultation. My department has been working to improve delivery and consultation within the New South Wales planning system. A better delivery of planning services, of course, means better outcome for residents, developers and communities alike. A better consultation means tailored solutions and targeted initiatives. And as many of you know, the government has been instrumental in consulting on proposed updates to the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act of 1979. That's about as long as it takes to actually get changes to our environmental and planning acts through the New South Wales Parliament. And I hope to be the first minister in a long time to land these changes. And of course, the key goals of the updates are faster and simpler planning, enhanced strategic planning, improved community confidence and robust decision making. We've received over 500 submissions on the reforms, some of which came from those of you here today, and I thank you for that. And I'd like to thank you for the ideas and suggestions you've provided to help improve our planning system. Overall, the package, can I say, as a parliamentarian and a politician, has been well received, which is code for, well, we've got some issues, but we'll deal with those issues. But generally, I think we're taking people with us. And I'm pleased to say most stakeholders have supported our continued efforts to modernise and streamline the planning system. I'm aiming to introduce the reforms into Parliament in the coming months. They've been introduced into our Legislative Council and we hope to land them by the end of business of this year. Today, can I say I'm keen to touch on two aspects of the reform package. First is elevating the role of design in the planning system, and second, clearer building regulations. In no clear terms can we say further that New South Wales is a success story of Australia. 90% of Australia's economic growth is being driven by New South Wales, and I'll come back to that later. We have unprecedented spend in infrastructure, and there is no better time to be a planner, I think, than in New South Wales, because we are seeing the ability now of joining planning with infrastructure infrastructure and as well as good development delivery. As I joke, not really joke, but those from overseas, you have got to understand that there are between states and cities, there's always a level of competitive tension. I always say that Sydney is almost a victim of its own success. We're an international city. We compete with the likes of London, Paris, Singapore, Beijing, whereas our friends in Melbourne, some of whom you might visit, continue to compete with Adelaide, Auckland and Dubbo. But our success means that more and more people, of course, want to call our state home. This results in the challenge of increased urbanisation of our towns and our cities. So the New South Wales Government needs to use the planning system to solve questions about how to house, employ and move our growing population. A major part of the solution is good design of the built environment, which is why the Government is focusing on this important theme. In our improvements to the EP&A Act, we want to make good design of the built environment a specific goal of the Act. This will promote excellence as a factor that decision makers consider at every stage of the planning process. This includes setting strategic visions for communities as well as assessing individual developments. To achieve this object on the ground, the Office of the Government Architect is leading the work of embedding design in the planning system. It has developed an integrated design policy for the built environment for New South Wales. This policy is known as Better Placed, and I was very pleased to launch that in August of this year. The implementation of the Better Placed policy will lead to better planning outcomes that link the old with the new. It will lead to outcomes that are more efficient, healthier and support social cohesion. Well-designed places, as we all know, add value. They drive increased investment. They attract and retain residents, jobs, global talent, as well as tourists. When implemented well, of course, good design leads to outstanding development. A recent example of this, I believe, is Barangaroo. This world-class development had design excellence as a guiding principle. To meet this commitment, a panel of design advisors was established to guide all design decisions. And design excellence didn't just mean designing exceptional new buildings, it also meant delivering world-class public domain that encouraged active living and healthy lifestyles. This was achieved by ensuring there were facilities for walking, cycling and passive as well as active recreation. Barangaroo, I've got to say proudly, is Australia's first carbon neutral precinct. To meet this commitment, Barangaroo includes centralised infrastructure such as water cooling, embedded electricity networks, recycled water treatment plants and on-site renewable energy generation. It also used innovative materials and techniques in its construction. This included reducing construction waste going to landfill by some 97%. So Barangaroo shows how design excellence in the planning system does lead to buildings that inspire and thrill the heart, that respect a city's heritage, as well as enhancing and revitalising the city. The second point I'd like to speak about today is on ensuring clearer building regulations. This aspect of the reforms is part of the Government's response of the Lambert Review. The Lambert Review was a wide-ranging review into building regulation and certification. And the report found that the regulatory landscape for building regulation and certification has become fragmented. As a result, the proposed changes to the Act will combine all building provisions into a new and more logical structure. They'll also clearly set out the obligations of certifiers under the planning system. I, as Minister, will be able to give advice on how certifiers should exercise their functions. One aspect of these changes that I'm keen to focus on are new measures that will ensure construction sticks to the approved plans. This change, of course, will help to ensure the integrity of the planning system and give the community confidence that what is approved is what ends up being built. In 2014, the Court of Appeal decided a case between Burwood Council and a developer out of interest, and the case related to a major commercial and residential development. In this case, the development consent included specific conditions relating to the building's external finishes and facade. However, the construction certificate for the building authorised a different set of finishes that were clearly inconsistent with the development consent. The court decided that despite this, the construction certificate would stand. And this is a certificate that should never have been issued, quite frankly. So to address this, we propose that the court should have the power to invalidate a construction certificate where it's not consistent with the development consent. Of course, this emphasises the importance of the conditions of the consent, and it sends a very clear message to those who are looking to break the rules. The planning system has to achieve, of course, a delicate balance between the growth of our towns and cities and ensuring building safety. We need to think creatively about delivering safe and healthy buildings without, of course, impeding growth. The devastating tragedy at Grenfell Tower in London, of course, was a shock to us all. When we heard this news, we immediately acted to prevent this from happening in New South Wales. And within days of the fire, the New South Wales Government committed to a wide-ranging fire safety measure to better protect building occupants in New South Wales, including a data audit to identify buildings that are likely to have external cladding, writing to strata managers and building owners of identified buildings to encourage them to organise building inspections, strengthening our fire safety requirements for new and existing buildings through new laws that started on the 1st of October this year, and removing unsafe building products from the supply chain. The New South Wales Government is also working with our interstate colleagues to bring in clearer fire safety regulations across the Commonwealth. This includes working on improvements to building design and inspection regimes. The updates to the Act that I've discussed today are long overdue, and they go a long way towards achieving this Government's vision for New South Wales. They are part of a suite of changes that will create a simpler, faster and more inclusive planning system. They will improve the delivery of planning services and enhance the consultation process. They will provide a framework within which we design and build productive, livable, healthy and safe communities, and they will shape the growth and enable investment, of course, to deliver the jobs, infrastructure and services our community needs. And they will ensure that New South Wales remains a great place to live, work and play. I'd like to sincerely thank you for inviting me here today. As Planning Minister in New South Wales, and as well as Housing Minister, it is my job to find some 750,000 new homes in the next 20 to 30 years. We're experiencing a population boom. 65,000 children are born in the Greater Sydney area each year. We need to house them. What we are faced with, and this is the challenge I put out to you, and that's why I was so delighted to be invited here today, because I want to thank you for the leadership not just the Council is providing, but the design and the fact that we are creating new, beautiful and elegant buildings that will be set to transform not just our city, but those cities around the world. Together with the Greater Sydney Chief Commissioner, Lucy Turnbull, we released the Region Plan for Sydney. You know, a tale of three cities. And as I go around our city and talk to councils, they're interested in landmark buildings, beautiful buildings, and they want to take the community with them. As more and more Australians move from suburban lots and choose to live in what I call vertical villages, you know, it's critical that we get it right. And that started with changes to strata laws, which hadn't been changed for 40 years, to enable people to live well with each other and comfortably. But I want to put to you the challenge that in order to deal with a public that is quite cynical based on previous governments' failures in the planning system, where we had buildings of little design, poor form, quite unhealthy buildings that were designed more for profit than livability. Of course, people are cynical about high-rise, and they're cynical about the government's ability and the industry's ability to deliver beautiful, well-connected communities. So the challenge for us as a government, and the challenge for you, is to come together and show people that we can have beautiful vertical villages, well-designed, elegant buildings surrounded by parkland, open space, connected with each other. And we're not just building, again, well-designed buildings, but we're building well-connected communities that have a strong social connection and resilience. And I'd like to assure you, to everyone here today, that my department is working to make New South Wales, of course, more livable, more affordable and more beautiful. And we are, and I am personally, incredibly excited about the tremendous changes that together we will see over the next couple of decades. So as this week's conference kicks off, I wish you all the best. Undoubtedly, you'll hear from many inspiring speakers. And as I said, look, together we can make a change. We can really make a change in how we live, and we can actually build those stronger communities, and we can do that together. Thank you very much. And to those people who have travelled, I wish you also a safe travel and trip home, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much.